Hey YouTube. Well, today I'm going to try and fix a Daiwa spinning reel that, well, I bought it at the flea market in haste. I needed a big reel to fish the breakwater, ocean fishing, and I kind of got late to the flea market and all the good ones had gone, I guess. So I bought this one and once again forgot to totally check it out. I've bought reels before that, you know, maybe the spool didn't go in and out, or it seemed like it worked at the time, but didn't. So this one, it seemed to work, but I didn't take into account the fact that it had a lot of play in the winder. The whole thing was covered in grease, so I thought it was a pretty good reel, been looked after, you know, but it had been looked after, but it's well worn. Now the reason that I'm making the video is I'm going to try and fix this reel. I've already done one side. It's the handle switches around. Let me show you the reel. Okay, it's a Daiwa, and it's I don't know what model it is. It's a pretty big one. Taking the handle off. If you look on this side of the reel, there's a little, well, I hope you can see it. There's like a red bushing on that little hole where the handle goes through. And the reason I did that, the inside the reel, the shaft and the winder they're worn. Just had a lot of use, I guess. So when the handle goes through, there was so much flex at the back here, right there where that little red bushing is, that when you wound the reel, instead of it being smooth, it was a bit of this. So what I ended up doing was making a bushing out of epoxy on this side, and actually seems to work pretty good. The grease there prevents the epoxy from sticking to any of the moving parts. So after the epoxy hardened, I thought it would be okay, but actually it still has a lot of play. Well, a lot. It has more play than I want. So today I'm going to try and repair the other side. Again, this is just trying to salvage something from the flea market rather than throwing it away. So down in here, I'm going to make another bushing. I'll show you what I'm going to do. This is the main shaft, goes through, and right now it's a little loose. I'm going to take up any play inside this bushing with some epoxy. Worked on the other side, maybe it'll work on this side too. Be back in a second. Yeah, well, here we are. We're back. Here's the reel, and hopefully you can see this. This is where the winder will go in. This area here is where the play is. If I put the handle in, maybe you can see this. I don't know. Let's have a look. See it. I'm in the way. There you go. There's a little wiggle there. So I'm going to eliminate that by filling up this area here with epoxy. And the epoxy I'm going to use is this Milliput stuff. And hopefully, it's what it is. It's a putty, 2-part putty. I'm just going to mix up a couple of blobs of that and start packing it into the area there. Okay, so here are my 2 little blobs of epoxy putty. I'm just using this one, the terracotta color, because that's what I have. But you know, you can make some really great bushings and bearings if you take some powdered graphite, and you can mix that with any like a JB Weld or something like that, or you could use JB Weld in this case. I mean, I'm using this because it's a fairly fast setup and it's a putty, but I think you could use just about any good quality epoxy. So these 50-50, just mix them together, and when it's all done, we'll start packing it into the reel. Well, I've got the putty all mixed up. There it is. It's way more than you need, but it's always good to have too much. That way, after you've done the job, and especially if something's sealed inside, you can't test whether it's set up or not. Your bit left over, you just sit it on the deck, and it'll be, when it's hard, it means the job's cured too, right? So always good to have a little bit more. So I'm going to make a very thin bit here and start just shoving it in there. Of course, the grease in here will prevent the epoxy from messing with the movement. So just pack it in. Just keep pushing it in, and eventually we'll fill up that gap. Just keep doing it. So there, I've packed in just about as much as I can. I'm going to try and clean it up using the end of a paintbrush and just pushing in and peeling it out. You probably can't see that. Anyway, I'm doing this. Now for the center bit, we can poke that out too, just like that. So anything that was stuck in the middle is cleaned out. Okay. Take the winder, pop it in, and tighten up the other side. This will mean whatever, we'll have a look at it again in a sec, but it'll basically, any excess will get squeezed out when we tighten her up. Well, there she is now. She's all tight. So I'll just undo it one more time. And check the repair side. I've already done this side, right? The left-hand side. Okay. So there it is. That's what the room it needed. It's made its own space there with whatever the impression is here. Again, it's all greased, so nothing's going to stick to anything. Any real messy shit can be cleaned up later. Anyway, there it is. I'm going to stick this in, reassemble the reel, and all we got to do now is wait for the epoxy to kick. I'll just tighten this all up. Get that handle all straight. Tighten it right up. And set it down. Well, here we are, we're back, and the epoxy here, as you can hear, it's set up hard. So, the bushing should be all set up, and the reel shouldn't wobble. This is all shouldn't. Anyway, we'll check it out in a sec. Well, we're back, and here's the reel. This shaft, hardly any play in it at all. it's as good as it's going to get. We'll take her out and see if we can catch anything with it. Anyway, salvaging the flea market reel. Maybe now it's useful.